What's up, guys? Back for another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about all the stuff Apple has announced at their keynote. I know I'm kind of late to the party, but I thought I would make this video anyway. First off, they are going to be releasing a new Apple Watch Series 2. The difference is it is going to be waterproof down to 50 meters, so no longer will you have to worry about your Apple Watch getting damaged from water. It is going to be waterproof. The other one I think was water resistant. You can probably wear it in the rain and whatnot, but you really couldn't take it under the water or shower with it because it would damage. But this one is going to be fully waterproof. And of course, the processor is going to be better off, so it shouldn't be as laggy. And also, the other big thing with the new Apple Watch is going to be that it is going to have a built in GPS in it. So you're no longer tethered to your phone if you want to do runs, jogs. If you're into fitness, it'll track your fitness without having to have your phone on you. Now, don't get confused. You still have to have it connected to your phone if you want to do everything on the Apple Watch. It's just that the fitness part now, at least the tracking your runs and your walks, uh, with GPS, it does have that built in now, but it's not a separate piece. You still have to have it tethered to your smartphone to do everything pretty much. It's just nice for all the people who are into fitness. You won't have to worry about having your phone with you if you want to leave it behind. That is something that Series 2 will allow you to do. And other things are, of course, they did announce iOS 10. We knew about iOS 10 for a while now. iOS 10 is finally rolling out to people. You can download it right now for your iPad, iPhone. I think the iPod touches, if they're still a thing. I think they still are a thing, but yes, iOS 10 is finally rolling out. I'm not going to go into all the details on iOS 10. You can look that up on the internet if you want to. And then, of course, the big thing from the keynote is the iPhone 7. But before I talk about the iPhone 7, I would actually like to talk about Nintendo because Nintendo was actually at the keynote. What a surprise! Actually, this is the first time they've ever been at an Apple keynote. They're releasing Super Mario Run. It's one of their Mario games coming to iOS and iPhone. But down the line, they're going to be releasing it for Android, probably, maybe not yet, but after it rolls out to iOS, or yeah, iOS is going to be coming to Android, I'm pretty sure. It is going to be a paid game. It's not going to be like a in-app purchase game. It's pretty much going to be a full-blown game of Mario. And I don't know how much they're really going to charge for this game, but it is nice that Nintendo is bringing Mario or some of their mainstream or some of their IPs to mobile, and that's one since Pokemon Go did so well. They are bringing it to iOS, and I did forget to mention on the Apple Watches, they are bringing Pokemon Go to the Apple Watches. I know that's kind of a shocker. And the second thing is they did announce, or they did actually, this really has nothing to do with it, but Nintendo did announce a Poke Tracker that's supposed to let you know when Pokemon are nearby and whatnot. But now that thing's gonna be kind of useless because if you have an Apple Watch now, you can get Pokemon Go notifications on your Apple Watch. So I don't really know how that's gonna affect the sales of the Poke Go tracker they Nintendo announced. Now back to Apple news. Apple did announce the iPhone 7. They're gonna have two models again, like the past two or 3 years. They're gonna have a 4.7 model and they're gonna have a 5.5-inch model. Of course, the 5.5-inch model is gonna have more features than the iPhone 7. The iPhone 7 Plus is gonna have more features. Now, the big thing out of the whole iPhone 7 is the cameras. Now, the iPhone 7 is going to get a better camera than the iPhone 6. It is getting a better camera, but where it's really going to get interesting is the iPhone 7 Plus. The iPhone 7 Plus is actually going to have two cameras on the back, and it'll allow you to take better pictures, of course. Is this the step towards DSLR pictures in our pockets? I don't really know about that, but it is uh, pretty cool how Apple is taking it to the next step by making two cameras in the iPhone 7 Plus. Unfortunately, like I said, the iPhone 7, the smaller version, is not going to have the dual cameras, only the iPhone 7 Plus. So if you don't like big screen smartphones or big smartphones, you're just gonna have to put up with the size if you're a big photography person who maybe takes a lot of pictures or you're into Instagram and whatnot. Unfortunately, you are not going to be able to use the dual cameras unless you buy the iPhone 7 Plus. And of course, the iPhone 7 Plus is going to cost you more than the iPhone 7. I think about $100 more. Another thing is Apple finally killed off the 16 gig models of the iPhone. It's good on their part because 16 gig is really small, to be honest, and now in 2016, so it is good. The smallest model you can pick up now, base model, is 32 gig, and for the first time, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus are going to be coming in at 256 gig, which is mind blowing. But if you need all this space, you can pick up 256 gig if you have too many apps installed or if you take a lot of 4K video, because as you know, 4K video does eat up a lot of memory on your phone. The only downside to the 256 model, of course, is be ready to have cash on hand because that thing is going to be really, really expensive for the 256 model. But hey, if you need 256, you can get 256 gigs of storage. So that pretty much means that micro SD cards or external storage is kind of rendered useless on the iPhone because you can get up to 256 gig now. Now, one other big thing about the iPhone 7 is it's going to come in a new color, this more darker black, and they are going to be making it in matte black and this glossy black, kind of like the Samsung phones where they're kind of like all glass on the back, and it is gonna get fingerprinted up and scratched up easily. So you will have to put a case on it if you want the glossy black one. So for the first time ever, the iPhone is coming in glossy black instead of the matte finish we all been used to on the iPhones in the previous generations. Now you can finally get it in glossy black, and of course it is going to have a spec increase. It is going to have the A10 processor with the combination of the M Pro Pro another chip basically, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Now for the home button, there is a big change in the home button. Now Apple has finally not made it. It's not like a pushing home button. It's kind of like you just lay your finger on there now, and you're supposed to be able to customize the home button on your iPhone now. So it's not really a tactile type of home button. You don't click it anymore. You kind of just press down on it. So it will feel kind of weird to use the new home button on the iPhones. Rumors had it for a while that this year or next year they were going to kill off the home button, but as you know, they did not kill off the home button. They just made it like a multi-touch, gestury home button. We'll see how that works. And of course, all the new iOS 10 features with the 3D touch, they're making 3D touch better. And also, one new thing, Siri is getting a lot better as well. Siri is going to be able to control your smart home devices, kind of like the Amazon Echo. So it can control light bulbs, it can control locks, it can control speakers or whatever you have that's a wireless home connected device. Siri can now connect with. And also, Siri is also going to be able to work with third-party apps or apps in general. So when you load up an app, Siri can actually interact with apps in different ways. I don't know how that's really going to work, but now you can use Siri with apps in apps basically. So that's going to change the game with Siri. So Siri is getting better all the time. And the biggest thing that the iPhone 7 is going to have or not have is, of course, the headphone jack. We already knew about this for the longest time, ever since about the first of the year or middle of the year. We already knew that they were planning on cutting out the headphone jack. Of course, the reason they want to cut out the headphone jack is because they want you to buy their headphones and all that jazz. But realistically, it's not really a big deal if you look at it because they killed off the CD-ROM drive way back in the day, and a lot of computers don't have a CD-ROM drive. It will it won't suck because let's just put it this way. In about 2 or 3 4 years, you know, probably a lot of companies are going to copy them, and we'll all just live with not having a headphone jack. So if you still have 3.5 millimeter headphones, like the standard headphone jack that plugs in, they will actually give you, I think, an adapter, lightning to phono, you can plug into your phone if you're still running 3.5 millimeter headphones, and that adapter will run you $9. Now, I really wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure if it's included in the box, so don't quote me on that. You guys could let me know, but I'm not sure if that's actually included in the box, but it is going to be $9. Now, what is included in the box is going to be lightning to lightning earpods are basically going to be in the box, which is really nice. So you will have those earpods in the box if you want to use those. Now, the new thing that Apple has announced, since there is no headphone jack, they actually announced that you're going to be able to buy these wireless earpods. They're called AirPods. It's basically the same headphones they've been making since the iPhone 5, but they're wireless. So they're little small earbuds that go in right there, and that's where the M coprocessor or whatever processor they were talking about comes into play that I was talking about earlier. Basically, it's not a Bluetooth technology, so they made it a little mainstream for the average consumer. So when you like turn on the AirPod, it's supposed to connect to your iPhone automatically, so you don't have to go through all the setup of setting up the Bluetooth connection. Of course, if you're one of those people that are into technology, they made it mainstream. And the battery on that's supposed to be 5 hours. And the nice thing about the AirPods is that the AirPods are actually going to have a case, and when you put them in the case, it's supposed to give you an additional 24-hour battery juice, so you're never going to run out of battery. The only problem I have with those AirPods is, first of all, the price is 160. I don't know if you'd really want to pay 160 for those things. And second of all, the real problem is most people or a lot of people may actually end up losing those things because those things are tiny. It's basically the current ear pods, but without the cable. They did make the little tip a little bit longer, but that's pretty much it. Now the only problem is, since we all know that ear pods from Apple aren't the greatest headphones, paying 160 for wireless ones, they better be amazing. Now they do also have a microphone built on them, just like the other ear pods they've been making for about 4 years, 2 or 3 years now. So they do have that, and with them cutting out the headphone jack, it also allowed them to put stereo speakers on it. So basically, where the headphone jack is, it's supposed to have another speaker, so you will get stereo sound. Is it really going to sound better in the long run? I really don't know, but it should be lasting longer in the long run. And of course, with the headphone jack being removed, the iPhone 7 is supposed to get, or the iPhone 7 Plus is supposed to get better battery than the last generation, about an hour more of battery juice. So that's nice. Since there's no headphone jack, they can put in a bigger battery. Now, come on, guys. What do you want? Better battery in your phone or a headphone jack? I'm pretty sure most people would say they want more battery out of their phone than a headphone jack. So those are pretty much all the news that came out of Apple this September. The iPhone 7's coming out, I think September 16th. So it's just a couple days away. iPhone 7 is coming out. I think the AirPods, the wireless earphones they're making are coming out in October. I think are in the middle or late October. Those are coming out. Now, in this event, they did not announce any news on the new MacBook refresh, because this year we are supposed to get the new MacBook refresh, and we're also supposed to get some new iPads, I think, but they're not going to they weren't talking about them in this keynote. It was only mainly for the Apple Watch and the iPhone, pretty much. Anyway, that's pretty much all the information on the new products they announced. And also, if you didn't know, my opinions on the body of the phone, it's not really a big deal. I know some people were actually talking about how the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus look like the last generation, or look like the last two generations, the 6 and the 6S, but it's really not a big deal. Come on. I mean, hardware is nice, but it's okay as long as we get more better performance, a better operating system, more battery, a better camera, and all that. The design can stay the same. It's not really a big deal. I know a lot of people are hoping for a refresh because it is a new gen. It is iPhone 7. It's not the 6. Usually of course when it's the S model they keep the design the same, but when it's a new number they actually make a new they make a new design on the iPhone. But this year for some reason they didn't make a new design, but that shouldn't have actually been a surprise because if you know back in I think April or March of this year, they made the iPhone SE, which is an iPhone 5 with the 6S specs in it pretty much, and that should tell you that that was pretty much the 5 just with newer specs in it. So I wasn't really surprised when they made the new 7 and 7 Plus with the 6 and 6S body. I wasn't really surprised. But like again, it shouldn't really be a big deal whether they change the design or not, as long as the specs inside and the camera and all that jazz is better in the long run. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.